Have you ever read a verse in the Bible and thought, wow, this is thousands of years old, but it sounds like it was written for me today? Ecclesiastes 11:2 is one of those verses. Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. Now, at first glance, you might think, okay, so that's about money. And yes, it is about money. But it's also about something much deeper. It's about freedom. It's about not feeling trapped. It's about living in such a way that no single event, no single person, no single job can hold your life hostage. In this video, we're going to break this verse down, word by word, principle by principle, and, by the end, you'll understand why God's Word is the greatest life strategy manual ever written. Part 1. The context. Ecclesiastes was written by King Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, apart from Jesus himself. By the time he wrote this, he had seen it all: wealth, power, pleasure, mistakes, regret, and wisdom. Ecclesiastes is Solomon's journal of lessons learned. Some of it is brutally honest. Meaningless, everything is meaningless. But mixed in are these golden nuggets of practical wisdom. In chapter 11, Solomon starts talking about work, risk, and preparation. And he makes this profound statement: invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. He's saying, don't assume life will always stay the same. Don't assume your income will always flow from the same source. Don't assume the economy will never change. Disasters will come. And when they do, the people who survive and thrive are the ones who prepared before the storm. Part 2. The principle of diversification. Solomon's 7 ventures, yes, in 8, is his poetic way of saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. In ancient times, farmers might grow several types of crops. If one failed because of drought, another might still survive. In our time, that means don't rely on just one job, don't rely on just one skill, don't rely on just one source of income, because if you lose it, you lose everything. Now, I know some people might say, well, I have a good job, I've been here for years, I'm secure. But you're not in control of the company's leadership, you're not in control of the economy. Solomon's wisdom says, spread out your opportunities. Part 3. Why a side business is biblical. Here's something we don't hear enough in church. Having a side business is biblical wisdom. The Bible never tells you to rely only on one master, one employer, one paycheck. In fact, Paul was a tent maker while preaching the gospel. Acts 18:3. The Proverbs 31 woman had multiple income streams. She traded, invested, and sold goods. Proverbs 31:16. 18:24. When you create something of your own, a small business, a freelance skill, an online store, a service you provide, you are living out Ecclesiastes 11:2. You are reducing your vulnerability and increasing your freedom. Part 4. Story. When a job is your only source. Let me tell you about someone. We'll call her Sarah. Sarah worked in a hospital operating room. She loved nursing, but the environment was stressful. One day, she disagreed with new policies. She thought she could share her frustrations privately with coworkers. But that trust was betrayed. Her boss called her into the office and said, if you're not happy here, you can leave. In that moment, Sarah realized she had no backup plan. No other source of income, no way to walk away without fear. That was the day she decided, never again will my entire life depend on one paycheck. She started a side hustle from home. It didn't replace her income overnight. But within a year, she had the confidence to stand on her own 2 feet. Part 5. God's wisdom is practical. What I love about Ecclesiastes 11:2 is, it proves that God's wisdom isn't just about heaven. It's about life here on earth. Farmers understood it. Merchants understood it. And today, business owners, investors, and entrepreneurs still live by it. multiple streams of income, multiple skills, multiple ways to provide for your family. That's not greed, that's stewardship. Because when a disaster comes, and it will, you'll be ready. Part 6. The trap of a single stream. When you depend on one paycheck, you are not just earning money. You are renting your life to one buyer. That means, if they change the rules, you must adapt. If they cut your hours, you must accept it. If they end your employment, your income ends overnight. Solomon's wisdom is a protection plan. It says, don't allow one decision maker to have total control over your livelihood. This is not about rebellion. It's about freedom. It's about peace of mind. Part 7. Biblical examples of multiple sources. The Bible is filled with examples of people who understood diversification. Joseph in Genesis 41 stored grain for 7 years to survive the famine. That's not just spiritual insight. That's strategic resource management. Lydia in Acts 16, a seller of purple cloth. She ran a trade business while supporting Paul's ministry. The Proverbs 31 woman. She planted vineyards, traded goods, and worked with merchants in multiple markets. God's people have always thrived when they prepared for multiple outcomes. Part 8. Practical ways to obey. Ecclesiastes 11:2. Today, let's get practical. What does invest in 7, yes, in 8 look like today? It could be your main job, a side business or freelance skill, investments or retirement accounts, rental property, selling handmade products, online content creation, teaching a class or skill, seasonal work during holidays. The point isn't to do everything. It's to build enough variety so that one loss won't sink the ship. Part 9. How to start small. You don't need thousands of dollars to start. Sometimes you just need one idea and the willingness to work on it consistently. Pray and ask God, Lord, what's in my hands right now? What skills, talents, and resources have you already given me? Maybe you can bake, write, fix things, organize, design, or teach. That could be your seed, your second venture. Remember, even the most successful entrepreneurs started small. They planted, watered, and let God give the increase. Part 10. The faith factor. This is where many people get stuck. They think, what if I fail? What if I waste time? But here's the truth. Stepping out into multiple ventures is an act of faith. Hebrews 11:6 says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. And James 2:17 reminds us, faith without works is dead. That means pray, yes, believe, yes, but also take action. Solomon isn't saying invest in 7 just to sound wise. He's telling us, do something. Start moving. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Part 11. Overcoming fear of criticism. When you start something new, whether it's a side hustle, a blog, or an Etsy shop, you will have critics. Some will say, that's a waste of time. Others will say, don't risk it, stay safe. But here's the reality. Staying in one place is the risk. Depending on one paycheck is the risk. Not following biblical wisdom is the risk. So you must decide whose voice you will listen to, the voice of fear or the voice of God's word. Part 12. The blessing of options. When you follow Ecclesiastes 11:2 and build multiple streams, you gain something money can't buy. Options. You can take time off without panic. You can walk away from toxic situations. You can say no to things that compromise your values. Options give you breathing room. Options give you dignity. Options allow you to work from a place of choice, not desperation. Part 13. Testimony. Freedom through diversification. I know a man named Daniel. He was a delivery driver for 15 years. When his company merged, they cut half the staff. Daniel lost his job in a single day. But here's the difference. Years before, he had started selling custom furniture from his garage on weekends. When the layoff came, his side business became his main business. Daniel told me, if I had waited to start until I needed it, I would have been in trouble, but I listened to God's nudge years earlier. That's the power of Ecclesiastes 11:2. Part 14, Guarding Against Pride. Now, here's the balance. Just because we diversify doesn't mean we rely on ourselves instead of God. Psalm 127:1 says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain." We still trust Him as our ultimate source. We still pray for wisdom in every decision. Our confidence isn't in our ventures. It's in the God who blesses them. Part 15, The Final Challenge. Friend, God gave you skills for a reason. He placed creativity inside you for a reason. He placed Ecclesiastes 11:2 in His Word for a reason, because He knew. Life is unpredictable. Storms will come. Jobs will change. Economies will shift. But if you prepare now, if you start building multiple streams now, you won't be shaken. So here's my challenge. Before this week ends, write down 3 possible ventures you could start. Pray over them. Pick one. Take one small step, because the sooner you start, the sooner you'll experience the freedom Solomon was talking about.